It is possible to live life without suffering. Without pain? No. No. But pain does not need to be suffering. Pain can just be a part of the experience. It can, in fact, be satisfying. It can be meaningful. It can be appreciated. I am determined to demonstrate this for myself and for all self. I have an intense desire to help all people, all consciousness escape from the delusion that life must include suffering. And that starts with me. That necessarily begins with myself. I am the subject of this experiment. But by demonstrating this on myself, to myself, I wish to be able to share this with others. To assist all self, essentially, in becoming liberated from this delusion. And it is a delusion. Suffering does not have to be a part of our experience. It is all a matter of perspective. Our perspective is everything. It is all powerful. It creates our reality. And it is not delusional to say one is capable of creating and maintaining the perspective that does not include suffering as a part of this experience. In fact, it's far more sane than the alternative. The perspective which includes suffering is the delusion. It is that which is operating against the grain of the universe, against the grain of reality, of the truth of how things are. It is because of a warped perspective that the experience of suffering is even possible. And it's not a bad thing. It's not wrong, and it's not a problem. It's just how this works. It's more evidence of how absolutely free and powerful we are. And even in our experience of intense suffering, nothing's gone wrong. Nothing could possibly go wrong. We haven't failed. We haven't screwed up. None of that stuff. We have a choice. And it's easy to say that we would never consciously choose suffering. But to an extent, when we chose to incarnate into this reality, we did. We chose to incarnate knowing we would forget the truth of our origin, the truth of being. We chose to incarnate knowing we would become unconscious for a time, and that in that period of unconsciousness, we would experience suffering. And so, in a way, the choice to suffer was conscious. It came from a higher place, because we knew the purpose of it. We knew, this is tricky to articulate accurately, we knew suffering was not exactly necessary, but that there was great value to be gained from it. We desired and desire to know ourselves, right? To know the self fully. And how can one know the self fully without having some experience of that which is not the self? We had to know some of the negative in order to understand and really fully appreciate the positive, right? And what I mean by negative is the not. We had to run this experiment in which we were allowed to diverge from the stream of our own energy. We were allowed to perceive opposite to the truth. We were allowed to perceive not just other than, but something that stood in stark contrast to the truth of being. And by our experience of that intense contrast, we would then not only be guided to, directed to understand the intensity of the truth with great clarity, but we would be pushed towards it. That contrast serves not just as clarity, but as a fuel. It lights a fire in us, and the only way it can do that is by creating some tension, by creating some of this not just pain, but suffering. Because it's one thing to experience pain, it is another thing to experience resistance. And resistance creates suffering, but it creates another thing too. It creates an opportunity to step forward with great momentum. It's like a spring being held in tension, right? A coiled spring. There's so much tension there, there's so much resistance, and it's uncomfortable. But what is the natural result also of that resistance? When we let that go, it's a huge leap forward. There is such a spring of momentum, of upward motion from that. And we knew that by allowing ourselves to get balled up in resistance, there was something really beautiful taking place there. And yes, there would be suffering. Yes, we would experience that. But it all would work together. The result of the tension, the resistance, and the suffering would be a quantum leap, would be a new desire born, a desire to release this tension, to experience that peace and relief. But it wouldn't be a tiny desire. It would be huge. We're not setting off little firecrackers with our desire. We are setting off rockets. That is the power and the beauty of resistance, and that is the magic of this realm of illusion. And so we did come here knowing with intention that we would experience resistance, but we knew the value of that, and we knew that one day we would evolve consciously to remember how all of this works, why we came forth into this realm, why we chose to allow the experience of suffering, so that we would again transcend it. We would reach this place of conscious awareness where we realized the suffering has served us as much as it can. It has served us by pushing consciousness to evolve, by pushing our desire to grow, and specifically our desire to release resistance. And we've spent a lot of time resisting the resistance. And by discovering that we can release resistance to resistance, we are remembering the beauty of it, the value of it, the value and benefit of resistance and contrast. And we're realizing we can flow with it. We are something greater. Again, we have this choice to not resist the resistance, to not fight the contrast, and to allow a little bit of that tension to build and actually appreciate the tension. And now it's transmuted, it's transformed, it's no longer suffering in resistance because it's conscious. We've made it conscious. Now we're doing it on purpose. because we know what we're doing with it. We are divine deliberate creators. We understand there is value in contrast, and when we let that contrast happen on purpose and we get excited about it, we get excited about the contrast, we get excited about feeling some of the resistance, feeling some of whatever it is, because we know, oh, that is fueling this fire, that is fueling desire, and it's creating a quantum leap opportunity. And all we ever got to do is relax into it, is let it happen. Now we are creating consciously. This is the point that humanity is evolving to. And this is the intention. This is the intended destination for the evolution of our species. Becoming conscious, fully aware of what it is that we're doing in this realm. Aware that it's all a game. Yes, that it is all a dream. That all ultimately is an illusion. It's not really real in the way that we tend to define it as. But it is real in that it is actually being experienced. It is important and it is beautiful, and we are here to play. We are here to create and to enjoy and to have fun with this process. We are here to be dreamers, aware that we are in the dream, aware that it is a dream, right? But let that be appreciated in fullness. Allow ourselves to enjoy the dreaming of this dream and to dream it to full fruition, to know we are allowed to have desire. We are allowed to create. We are here to have desire and to create and witness the manifested fulfillment of that desire in complete physicality, in total physical form. We are here for that. Is that required? Is any physical manifestation required to experience joy and satisfaction? No, it is not, but it is deserved. We are deserving of the stuff, and we are deserving of the desire of the stuff. All of this just to say, it is wholly possible to experience a life that is without suffering, because even in resistance, we can choose to allow it. We can actually choose to have some resistance on purpose, and in the making of that resistance conscious, it's no longer suffering the way that it was. It is unconscious resistance that creates this suffering. And it's because we're unaware. We don't understand. We don't know what's happening. We don't see that we're doing it. We feel separated and lost and confused and alone. But when we just start allowing even that experience to take place, consciously making conscious that experience of perceived separation, of perceived duality, making conscious the experience of resistance, we can release suffering and enjoy all of it, even the pain, even the tension, even the resistance can bring some pleasure, because oh, how sweet it is to release. And we don't know the sweetness of release unless we know and appreciate the tension of resistance. All of it is beautiful. All of it has a purpose. All of it is valued and beneficial and right to be exactly as it is. We cannot get it wrong. We can't. There's nothing to get wrong. There's nothing to get right. There's really only understanding more and more. There is becoming more conscious. There is having more fun with this. More appreciation, feeling more, experiencing more, becoming more. That's it. That's all there ever is. We can't go back. There is no regression. There is no loss. There is no diminishment. Those things are not possible. The illusion of them, sure. Sure. But again, that just depends on the perception. If you perceive the change of form as a loss, then that's how you perceive it. There wasn't actually a loss. Not in reality, not in truth. There was a gain. What that form was is not lost. It's been built upon. It has been transitioned from into the next phase, the next stage, but that doesn't remove what it had been. It's being built on. It is because nothing is lost that everything is able to continuously expand. Entropy. Not real. Not real in the way that we perceive it to be. Everything is just building and everything is just growing. Nothing can be lost and nothing is ever wasted. Everything is infinite. You can't waste something that cannot be spent. Just some musings. All of this, suffice to say, that we came to experience suffering for a time. But that time is coming to a conclusion, because we are discovering now pain is not suffering. Resistance itself does not need to be suffering. By making these things conscious and deliberately allowing them, engaging with them in active awareness, we can in fact transform the experience of these things, and your experience of reality is your reality. We can transform the experience into one that is beautiful, that is meaningful, that is positive, even as we are experiencing that which otherwise had been called negative. And then by our viewing it as such, it changes, it transforms. It has not actually become anything different, and yet our experience of it is different. And so even pain and even resistance and all contrast can become beautiful and exciting and meaningful and appreciated. And then everything is allowed to serve you, to serve your being, to serve your joy, to serve your peace. Even non-peace can serve your peace. Everything is available to be surrendered to. Everything can be allowed. Everything can be engaged with consciously. And in so doing, we are liberated from suffering, not from pain, not from contrast, but from suffering. And that is true power. That is our power. That is our destiny. That is what this world and all consciousness here is moving towards. It is possible. It's right. It's happening. And nothing can stop it, because this is the desire of consciousness. This is the core desire, to be released from suffering. And in realizing that doesn't mean we have to escape anything. Not even resistance. Not even the experience of pain. We can release suffering now. We can drop suffering now. It's time for the self to move into the next stage of awareness. Awareness of its true freedom and power, of its radical worthiness. That's what we're stepping into. Radical worthiness, that everything which is desired is deserved, and is deserved now, simply because it's desired. That's it. That is it. No proving, no justification, no explanation. Nothing needing to be done. No in-between step. What is desired is deserved, and it's deserved now. simply because it is. That's it. Have a beautiful day.